So solving absolute value equations, get the absolute value by itself. You can go ahead and pause it and copy all this down and then listen to the explanation, or listen to the explanation as you're writing. Just if you don't understand one, stop it and finish writing or pay attention so that you have a better explanation. But basically you get the absolute value by itself first, split it into two equations, one positive, one negative, and then solve each of them. You can check for the extraneous solutions by plugging them back into the original. So real quick, I'm going to do this quick example to get the absolute value equation by itself. Subtract 2. 2 times absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to 6. Divide by 2. Absolute value of x minus 5 equals 3. This is where you would split it into 2. X minus 5 equals 3. And when you split it, make the original one the same. The other one should be a negative 3. And then solve from there. So it's x is equal to 8 or plus 5, 2. So for graphing lines, if you're using slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, m is the slope, b is the y-intercept, plot the y-intercept, then use the slope from the y-intercept to get other points on the line. Remember to use it in the correct direction. To find the x and y-intercepts, to find x-intercept, plug 0 in for y. To find the y-intercept, plug 0 in for x. And standard form, ax plus by equals c. The x term and the y term are on the same side. The constant is on the other side. And a, b, and c all have to be integers. Okay, absolute value inequalities. It's the same thing as absolute value equations, except when you split it, change the inequality for the negative one. For the one that you change the other side to the negative, change the inequality as well, meaning flip from a less than to a greater than, or from a greater than to a less than. Before you split, determine if it is an and or an or, and you can tell by the sign. If it's greater, it's an or, greater. If it's less than, it's an and, less than. For piecewise, there's two different ways I did it. If you're using the m and b, you use the slope and the y-intercept to start. Graph the points for the line. Find the x value that it stops at from that domain, x is greater than or x is less than, and go to the right or the left from that x value, that x point, and then erase the other half of it. I tried to put these directions as best as I could. If you want to change some things, feel free. Okay, use it in your words, however you understand what you do, if you're confident in it. Using the endpoints, plug in the x value to get the y value for the endpoints, and then you have the x that you plugged in, the y value that you got out. Plot that point, and is it open or closed? Pay attention to that. From there, use the slope to find other points. Just make sure you're paying attention. Are you going to the left or are you going to the right? And pay attention to the slope, whether it is positive or negative. And the last thing, absolute value graph, is the form y equals a times absolute value of x minus h plus k. The a either stretch or compresses it. Stretch, the absolute value of a is greater than 1. Compressed, the absolute value of a is less than 1. If it is 1, then it doesn't do either, and you don't need to say that. If a is a negative, it reflects it across x-axis. And if h shifts it right or left, remember to use the opposite sign of what's in the equation. Go the opposite direction. And k shifts it up or down. And that's going to shift the vertex, which is for the parent functions at the origin, so that way you have your vertex from the h and the k and the shifting. And that's it for right now, for this test. That's all for this test. All right, so what did the quilt say to the bed? I've got you covered.